The following program paid for by Rosenberg Financial Group. Providing live finance advice since 1993. It's time for Your Money with Steve Rosenberg, Sherri Goss, Randy Goss, and Becca Wilton. To participate in today's program, call 478-742-0940 with your financial questions and comments. And now, live from the Macon studios of News Talk 940 WMAC, it's Your Money.
Good morning, Middle Georgia. Happy Memorial Day weekend. It's supposed to be beautiful outside. We actually had a nice little breeze this morning. I sat outside while I was reading my articles and with a cat and my coffee, and it actually was a breeze similar to what we experienced in Key West. I called Randy and I said, "You're not going to believe this." I said, "This breeze that we liked in Key West is in Macon, but I think it's gone now." It lasted for just a little while. It felt really good. But anyways, just kick off the weekend. I want to say this Memorial Day, we honor our fallen military heroes, those whose dedication to the ideals of America have ensured our way of life. While each of us honors the selflessness of these brave men and women in our own way, together as a nation, we mourn their loss, we reflect upon their heroism, we salute their commitment, we pay tribute to their patriotism, we thank their families for their sacrifice. Our freedom is their legacy. As we spend time with friends and family this weekend, let us all be grateful for the steadfast loyalty and valor of these heroes. We are indebted to them every day of the year. We have the most amazing military. I met with a client this week who just retired, 30 years plus, great attitude, great person, hardworking, and not the typical person you would imagine in the military. Back in the old school, maybe you're thinking infantry and all of that. IT guy. IT maintaining the security of the systems, because that is at the root of all problems that we could experience in the military today. It's not just about might and force. It's about having smart people who are going to be able to stop hackers from getting into our systems and stealing our data. And he's one of those guys, and we were talking about his career, and he just had he has the greatest attitude. The people, people who've served 30 plus years in the military, they're thankful for the opportunity that they had. Yeah, they might be a little burned out. Yeah, they might be ready for a change, but they know that they've made a difference in a certain way, and they feel really good about it. And it's really good to see. You just don't hear about this very much. We don't promote our military, and I don't know why we don't talk about it more, because it's pretty critical to our national security, which is big. So I don't know why we don't honor them more. It seems like it's kind of gone by the wayside. I don't think I haven't seen anything in the news about this weekend about any political person doing any positive something for any military anything. I don't understand it. This is without our military, without the defenses that we have, we would be vulnerable to I don't even know what. So be thankful. Thank a hero. In fact, if you're out having lunch today or this weekend sometime, and you see a military person in uniform, buy them lunch. Tell them thank you. Or just at least go up and say, "Hey, really appreciate your service." Just let them know how much you care. So, let me see here. So I have to go here. I'm just thinking this morning about people I know and experiences I've had. So I have a client who's most amazing. He's in his 70s. Probably closing in on 80. He was a medic in Vietnam at the age of 18, and he told me stories about the fact that he had 2 weeks of training. Sorry, I should have given the phone number. 478-742-0940 is the number. I just kind of jumped off in this. I'm Sherri Goss with Rosenberg Financial Group. I'm a financial advisor. I assume that you already knew that, and I shouldn't have done that. Sorry. I just kind of went off on an emotional track. So, but if you want to feed into the show, ask a question, bring a comment, anything you want to talk about, just call 478-742-0940. So this client of mine was a medic in Vietnam at the age of 18, and he wasn't able to start talking about this until he hit about the age of 75. And most of our appointments we would have together, he would really just talk about his memories because they were all surging to the forefront of his brain. And he said it was just really bizarre that it was like he was back there. It's like he was reliving his experiences of being an 18-year-old kid with a little medical bag, running through the jungle, trying to save people's lives who a leg had been blown off or their arm had been blown off. Or, I mean, dealing with that kind of trauma is extreme. And so he went to, I told him, I said, you've got to go to the VA. You've got to go get some help because this is just too much. It's too overwhelming. And I've seen this multiple times in multiple people. And he went and he got some help from the VA, and he got into therapy, and he's doing much better, and he's much more adjusted now. But being in the military, depending on what you do for your job, it could take an extreme toll on your mind. And don't ignore it. Do not ignore it, because everybody wants to just suck it up and be the guy or the girl and be tough about it. But you can't. You have got to get some help because you've got to protect yourself and your family. So anyways, we got a phone call already. Good morning. You're on with Sherri. How are you?
Good morning. I don't want to sound like a repeat broadcast, so let folks know that today is the 29th of May, 2021. This is Robert Perry, Georgia, and I just want to say again, I enjoy your program each and every Saturday, and I really thank you all for letting me speak on this occasion on your program. I do want to relate to money issues as far as, well, first I want to say Memorial Day. Some say don't say Happy Memorial Day because it's really not a happy occasion. But to the folks that are celebrating, we do ask that you again that they remember the ones who have lost their lives.
Right.
This holiday.
Right.
And
where would we be without people that were brave enough to stand up for this country? Where would we be?
Well, you
really think about that.
You are absolutely correct as far as that is concerned. And I had two brothers to serve in this United States Army, and both of them deceased now, so I will be remembering both of them on tomorrow. Monday. But anyway, what I called to say as far as with the graduate, congratulations to all the graduates, whether it's from middle school, pre-K, or whatever. I say congratulations to all of them, especially to the ones that Houston County High School, Jordan Simmons, and Imperial High School, Yasmin Joseph, and to also from Northside High School, one of them, T-Ron, all you probably know him as T-Ron Black. That is his name, Teron Blackman from Northside High School. But what I want them to know, especially, there are two things that they really don't even have to have their parents' consent to. That is to vote, and they can register. They're over the age of 18. They can get out and register to vote.
Yeah, I agree. Please register to vote. Please
do that, please. And also get that vaccination. Now, of course, you don't want to go against your parents, but if you're over the 18, you can get a vaccination without their permission, without their consent.
And I'm going to talk about that in a minute because I disagree with you.
Well, I'm going to tell you why I say that because, like I said, this is your program and you have the right to do so. And this is what I'm saying. As far as I had both of the vaccinations, as far as it's concerned, and I'm also the one who asked the people to get them laminated. As far as once you have gotten the vaccination. And once you have gotten the vaccination, eliminate this. Some said do not eliminate them because you may have to get a third booster shot. That is okay.
That's enough about that. That's enough. I mean, everybody already knows all of this stuff, I think. Don't you?
No, I don't. I think, especially even with the, I mentioned on some earlier program, as far as with the debit cards. See, folks don't realize that it's almost just like writing a check. It's just a simpler and complete, quicker.
Okay, how does a debit card relate to a vaccine? I don't even understand where you're going.
I changed them.
Okay, that's enough. Okay. Love you to pieces. Have a great weekend. Happy Memorial Day. In the stream of consciousness. Anyways, so yeah, I'm going to talk about the vaccine. I'll tell you what I'm thinking about it. But it's nothing new. It's the same thing I've thought for the whole time. But anyways, I've got a couple other things to throw out there at you. The next one is, so I have a client, fun guy. He and his girlfriend have adopted a rescue dog. It is a cane corso. It's a brown dog. It looks like a small pit bull. And they had it rescued. They got medical treatment for it. And now they're looking for a good home. And they want a nice family to take this dog in. So if you just happen to be in the market for a cute dog, it needs to be the only dog, though, because this dog isn't going to want other competition. It's going to want to be the only dog that you give your attention to. Email me at Sherri, Sherri, at rfmoney.com, and I will forward your information to this person, and they can contact you, and you guys can figure it out. But this dog, he says, is unfortunately, this breed of dog is common in fighting rings, and so they want to keep it out of just the regular public. They want someone who actually wants to care for it. And I'll just warn you, we had a boxer, which is a similar kind of dog that we took in when our son went in the military, and we kept him for a year. And you got to watch these dogs. I don't know how old this dog is, but his dog was named Spanky. We left Spanky in the house and went and ran errands one day and came home, and he had chewed the molding off the walls. I mean, because he got bored. And then one night I put a pair of leather dress shoes on the countertop thinking he couldn't reach them. And I came home and they were in bits that were smaller than a dime. The entire pair of shoes were in the middle of the living room floor. So if you bring in a dog like this, you have to be prepared and get a pen and understand that they like to chew on stuff. I don't know how old this sucker is, but I wouldn't trust him until I saw what he was acting like. And you also need a fenced yard. Just saying. Anyways, you want a dog? I got a good one for you. Needs a good home. Next one. We are going through a process with our business where we are asking all of our clients to go paperless, because our home office is charging for a couple of things that they have to, required by law. They have to mail you these documents, and they're going to start charging for them the end of June. So we're going through this process of getting everyone to go paperless. Well, guess what? Not everybody has a computer. Not everybody wants to be on a computer. Not everybody is good at being in a computer with passwords and logins and all of that. So it's been a pretty fun challenge. And I was reading an article about passwords, and Clark Howard had a recommendation this week for password protection. And he's really good. Clark Howard can just throw a whole bunch of stuff at the wall, and he has no liability because he's not responsible for any of this. It's like he can just go with whatever recommendations are made by whatever company, and we can't do that. I've got to make sure if I tell you something, I need to make sure that it's actually a good suggestion. So I asked Randy, I said, can you check with our guys that handle our technology, responsivetechnologypartners.com? Can you check with them and ask them who they would suggest as far as password management? Because this is one of the biggest problems I see, particularly when I see a couple where the husband has handled all the bill pay, all the passwords, everything online, and he passes away, and the wife is sitting there with no way to get to anything. She can't see the bills. She can't log in. She can't do anything. This has got to get fixed. You need somebody or some plan of how you manage your passwords, whether it's written down in a book or I don't care how you do it. But so there are companies out there that will do password protection. So this guy, Tom Glover, who's been on the show before at responsivetechnologypartners.com, he says, Randy, LastPass LASTPASS is the product we recommend to small businesses or individuals since it is completely free for one device and affordable if you want to share passwords between multiple devices like a laptop, a desktop, and a phone. We are a partner with them, so we can help anyone out that needs it. We also have a solution for larger businesses that need to share passwords between users for things like purchasing accounts, etc. But if you need a password management system, LastPass, LASTPASS, he says, is free for one device. So if you just need some, because every site you go to has to have a different password, and it just becomes overwhelming. I mean, I've got pages of them. It's crazy. So if you want something to help you where you have one login, you would log into LastPass, and then it would store all your passwords for all the other places you go. He is suggesting that this is a very safe place. So if you're riding in your car and you can't write this down right now, just email me, Sherri, SHERRI at rfmoney.com, and I will send you that information. All right, the COVID vaccine. So I haven't understood this from the beginning, and I'm sorry if this is so redundant you want to scream, but I have to talk about it because I find people still don't know this. So people have been giving COVID, getting sick from it for a year and a half now. And I just couldn't understand why, if somebody gets sick from it, they weren't looking at the antibodies of that person. Because last June, I went to the doctor for my annual physical. This is a year ago. And everyone in the doctor's office had the antibodies. I asked him, I said, did you guys all have to get the shot? And they're like, no, we all have the antibodies. We don't need it. We just wear masks because people want us to, but none of us, we all have the antibodies. So somehow they were exposed to it. None of them got sick, but they had the antibodies. So Randy and I got sick with COVID the first week of January, and I went to Red Cross trying to give blood to get a free antibody test, which you can do every 3 months. So if you had COVID, go download the app on Red Cross, go donate blood somewhere. You get a free antibody test, or call your doctor. This is what I did last month. And I said, I just want an antibody test. Can I just come by? And they said, yeah, just come by anytime you want. I went in, they took a vial of blood, they sent in the blood. I got the antibody test. I have the full antibodies. So I'm 5 months in now. Well, they're just now coming out and saying, if you had a mild case of coronavirus, which I'm guessing I did, you still have antibodies protecting you from reinfection. Nearly a year later, they are finally tracking people who had COVID, and they're seeing that they have the antibodies, and now they're saying that they will last you for the rest of your life for this strain. This is nuts. Let me see here. So last fall, there were reports that antibodies waned quickly after infection with the virus, and the mainstream media interpreted that to mean that immunity was not long-lived. So here we listen to the media instead of listening to the doctors, and I didn't hear any. So the media basically shut the doctors out from saying what was true, and they had their own narrative of, oh, it only lasts 3 months, you have to get the vaccine. What a pile of crap that is. I cannot believe we have been misled this badly by the news. This is the tip of the iceberg, though. I'm going to get into this a little bit more. This is ridiculous. So it's normal for antibody levels to go down after acute infection, but they don't go down to zero. They plateau. Here we found antibody-producing cells in people 11 months after first symptoms. These cells will live and produce antibodies for the rest of people's lives. That's strong evidence for long-lasting immunity. He adds that COVID antibody production is naturally sky high while people deal with the virus. After the infection clears, the specialized immune cells move to the bone marrow, and once they settle in there, they start churning out low levels of COVID antibodies to help protect against reinfection. So this has been all over the news in the last 2 days. You're probably sick and tired of hearing about it, but in case you haven't heard about it, you need to see it. So all the people who had COVID and then ran out and got vaccines, it made no sense to me. I don't understand why, if you got the flu, why would you go get a flu shot 2 weeks later? This makes no sense. It goes against anything rational, and I can't even imagine. I can't find the data. I would like to know how much money we have spent pushing these vaccines on everybody, especially people who didn't even need them. I think you're going to see a debacle down the road of spending insanity. So what people are suggesting now is if you already had it, don't get the vaccine and let somebody in a foreign country that actually is desperate for vaccines, let them have them. And I agree with that. I'd rather just get sick and get over it anyways. And I've got a challenge for somebody out there. There are some people who have young folks that are entering college, not wanting to go to college, frustrated with trying to figure out what they want to do for a living in the future. And I would like them to check out this website. It's Coursera, Coursera. This is for college students who want to learn from home. Build skills with courses, certificates, and degrees online from world-class universities and companies. So more and more, there are opportunities for young people to learn at home. And what I'm reading is a lot of people are so used to being at home, they'd rather just stay at home now. Our daughter's been working from home since last March, and she loves it because of the flexibility. Now, she's in a situation where she works for the government, and they can monitor her activity all day long, so they can see that she's online and what she's working on and what she's producing every day. Not every company has that, which I'm going to talk about in a second. But just if you can study online, if that's something that you can do, there are opportunities for people who can do that to advance themselves on the side. So let's say you're in a job you're not really thrilled about, but you'd like to do something else. Just check out the website, Coursera, Coursera.com. And it tells all about learning skills, what you can learn, getting ready for a career, or let's say you're already in a career, but you'd like to go to the next level. It says 87% of people learning for professional development report career benefits like getting a promotion, a raise, or starting a new career. So it's worth checking out, and it's supposedly inexpensive. I couldn't get to that. I'd love to have feedback from somebody who goes in here and actually looks at it and does something. 77 plus million people are online learning on this website. So you're talking about web development, business management, Master of Business Administration, Master's degree in Computer Science, Public Health, some of the top online courses, Introduction to Cloud Computing, Machine Learning, AI for Everyone, Getting Started with Amazon Web Services, Predictive Analytics and Data Mining. These things are not going away. These things are only going to get bigger as we do more and more online. So anything that you could do with that, to me, makes a lot of sense if you have the right brain for it. I don't have any idea if I could do that at this point in my life. Maybe when I was younger, but I don't know about now. Randy's really good with technology, but that's because that's what he did in the military. And so it's just kind of ground into his head, and he's just naturally, it became a thing. That's not for me. So study shows, this is a big shocker. Study shows people working from home are dating, taking naps, and doing side hustles on company time. At the beginning of the COVID-19 outbreak, there was a heated debate about what people should be doing. Some said that this was a time for self-care and just focusing on making it through one day at a time. Others ascribed to the hustle mentality, saying you should get up early, work out, learn a new language, and read 10 books a day. After conducting research into the activities of the self-quarantined to determine if they were diligently working hard at home or engaged in extracurricular activities, the results are Americans drank heavily, smoked copious amounts of weed, played video games, ate lots of junk food, and watched television. Does this surprise anybody? If you're not monitoring people and they're working from home, what do you think they're going to do? They cite studies showing an increase in the consumption of potato chips, Oreos, Spam, which I didn't know anybody ate Spam anymore. That blows my mind. Burgers, pretzels, and other comfort foods. During the week of March 16th, Nielsen said U.S. consumers streamed 156 billion minutes of content. 60% of the people that are working from home take naps during the day. 77% say they shop online while they're on the clock. 50% have worked for another company while they're on the clock with their employer. So they have a side gig. They're probably doing food delivery or something on the side to make extra money. 76% say they spend more than 4 hours each day focused on work. 4 hours a day. 40% said they spent 4 more hours away from their computers. So the difference with our daughter and her working from home for the government is they can monitor her all day long. Not everybody has the systems to be able to do this. We were not set up to be prepared for this going into this COVID mess. And so we sent kids home with tablets and laptops with no security protocols. They were able to download anything they wanted to. People are working from home off the laptops that their company bought for them to use. They have no protocols. They have no oversight. They have nothing. This has been a disaster. So technology spending is through the roof, and it continues to be as people try to figure out how to fix this and how to avoid the problem the next time we go through some kind of shutdown, because we are now prepared for, okay, this could happen again in some capacity, so what are we going to do about it? And as a company, you need to be prepared. The secondary thing is people were not prepared security-wise for people that were going to hack into their systems, which was massive during this. The more you have people shut at home, clicking on stuff, the more you're going to have hackers. We've talked about this at length. So technology spending is way up. Healthcare spending, of course, because of COVID is way up. And I don't know how much of that shouldn't even have been spent, but it is what it is. And then consumer spending is starting to surge. So I'm having people coming to me and worrying about inflation. So let's talk about that. So, of course, we all know that home prices are going through the roof because people are buying houses and they're driving the prices up, and interest rates are really cheap. They're driving the prices of wood and materials through the roof. Cars are in short supply because of chips, and so car prices are way up. So I would not be in the market to buy a house right now or a car. Unemployment claims are dropping because a lot of states are cutting off the unemployment extra federal benefits. So people are realizing that they better get back to work if they want a job. Consumer spending is up because people are getting out of the house. And so we have supply chain shortages. So right now, there's been a lot of fear of inflation, but it's going to only be in certain segments of our culture at this point. We don't have overall inflation. Interest rates are still pretty low, but you're going to have supply chain shortages because there are, just like the chips with the cars. I mean, it's just like that. Steve had a client in this week, and he went to buy fencing materials at the hardware store, and they were completely sold out. People have been home fixing up things, working from home, spending money, and buying up materials. And there's a shortage of supply chain coming out of these different productivity facilities, and you're just going to have this. So don't get frustrated and don't think it's the end of the world. It just is what it is when you go through a giant lag in an economy, and then all of a sudden you're trying to catch up. You're going to have shortages no matter what you do. Let me see. So inflation is where the demand is, so prices are going to rise, and then companies will have to raise prices to you as prices to them increases. And I really thought gas prices were going to head higher than they are, but it's bizarre. I went to Sam's last night, and the price of a gallon of gas was $2.59. I drive down the street 1 mile, and it was 40 cents higher a gallon. And I had I get Kroger coupons. I had a Kroger coupon for 4 times gift card points. No, 4 times gas points if I bought a gift card. So I bought a gift card, put it on my Amazon account because we buy stuff from there frequently. And I went to the gas station. I went to Kroger, filled up. I saved $1 a gallon. I saved $10 in one fill up, which was worth the time that I spent just buying a card and loading it on Amazon, which took me like 30 seconds. So don't ignore that stuff. Use the coupons. Use the stuff that can help you out. It just is fun. Even if you don't need to save the money, just do it because you can. I just think it's a blast. Let me see here. So I don't know. Oh, we got a phone call. Good morning. You're on with Sherri. How are you today?
Hi, just fine.
Great. What's going on?
I have a few Social Security questions for
Okay.
you.
How old are you?
I am 59.
Congratulations.
My son is really the one I have the questions about.
Okay.
Okay, he is. My son actually gets a check right now. He's 20 years old, and he's on disability for a mental.
Okay.
He's mentally challenged. But my question is, when I reach retirement age, will his Social Security check increase to like half the level of what I'm I'll be getting currently?
No, because he's on Social Security disability, he will continue to get what he gets, and he'll get the step-up increase, whatever, 3% a year or whatever the government does based on the GDP. He'll get that increase every year, but he's not going to get anything related to your benefit.
Okay, so his benefit will never change related to mine?
Mm-mm. It will stay the same except for the increases, annual increases based on GDP, like typically a 3% increase a year. Yeah.
Okay. My second question then is, if let's say I pass away, and he gets an inheritance, say from the sale of the house, will that take away his benefits
from Social Security?
Yes, for the disability.
So him inheriting money will have nothing to do with Social Security disability, but does he get? So he's on Medicare, right?
Yes.
Okay. So because he's on Social Security and Medicare, that does not affect him inheriting anything. Does not affect any of that at all. Now, if he was on Medicaid, that's a different story. His benefits could be compromised if he inherited. So some people who have family members that are on Medicaid have to put money into a trust and have it doled out like a certain amount a month or whatever, so that they don't go over a cap of income or earnings or assets to lose benefits. But he's not in that category because he's on Social Security disability and Medicare. He can inherit the house, put the money in the bank, and use that money. Now, is there somebody in your will? Do you have some kind of a executor or somebody that's going to help him?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So you have a trusted person that you can...
Yes.
Okay, that is huge because... and there is... So how much are you talking about? If you passed away today, how much would go to him?
Well, right now there is a retirement account, life insurance, and probably the sale of the home. Probably he would share that with his brother. So we're probably looking at in the area of he would probably get about $150,000.
Okay. So would you want this doled out to him in specific amounts on a monthly basis, like a 3% distribution, or what would you want?
I haven't really considered that. I was kind of going to leave that up to the executor. Mm-hmm.
Because you don't have to put this in the will, but it's a good conversation to have, and it depends on. So your son currently lives with you in this house, right?
Yes. So
I guess the big question is, where would he go if something happened to you? Would he stay in the house with the other sibling?
His mother is still alive.
Okay.
So she would be the primary.
Okay. Well, that's perfect then. Okay, so she would still be alive, so she would stay in the house, and he could stay with her in the house until something happened to her, and then he would have to go somewhere.
Okay, now she doesn't live with us. We're actually divorced.
Okay.
She lives in her own home.
Okay.
Okay.
But I guess the big thing that I would want to look into is there are some fantastic group homes, and I guess I would want to have I'm a worst case scenario person. I always want to look at what if I die, and what if Randy and I die in a car wreck tomorrow? How's this thing going to go? And I've just always been that way for some reason. But I would want to have my research on if something really tragic happened to you, to your ex, and he's hanging out there with a brother, what would they do? And where would he go? But I know that there are some really good group homes for people who are in his situation, and I've heard stories from clients, and I don't have names of facilities, but I'd kind of want to go down the rabbit hole of finding that information out and having that as part of a package in with my will of where to look, because just because the mother exists doesn't mean that she's going to be capable of handling this. Anything could happen. Yeah. It's just, and I know people don't like talking about this kind of stuff, but we're all going to die at some point, so it just is a fact.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I really appreciate your question. Was there anything else you want to talk about?
That's all. I just want to wish you a happy Memorial Day weekend.
Yay. Thank you very much. I'm sorry if I dug around in your business too deep.
That's okay. It's great. Good information. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. I just tend to go there. You don't know what's going to happen. We love to plan on everything going the way we wanted it to, and then sometimes it doesn't, and you just need a plan B and maybe a plan C. But that's really tough. Being disabled at the age of 20, that's really rough. So thank you for your call. Really appreciate you. So a headline this week, I just want to, this is just an absolute side note. I forgot the I'm already past the half mark. This is Sherri Goss. I'm a certified financial planner with Rosenberg Financial Group. We have offices in Warner Robins and Macon. We do complimentary consultations. We do not sell anything. You can come and see us and talk about anything you want, just like the gentleman that just called. We can sit down for an hour and hash out anything that's bothering you that you're worried about, particularly the estate plan. How do you want things to go when you pass? What if you're incapacitated? How's that going to work? Do you have a will? Do you have powers of attorney? Do you have advance directives? If you don't have those things, email me, Sherri, Sherri, at rfmoney.com. Clark Howard has a number of inexpensive, simple will websites that he recommends. I have the Georgia Power of Attorney statutory form on my website, on my desktop. I can email it to you for free. It's a fillable form that you can take and have notarized and do it yourself, power of attorney. And the advance directives have always been free. I can send that to you as well. It's done through caringinfo.org. It's a nonprofit website, but I can send you all of those things, and you can spend some time getting your affairs in order, because there's no time like now to get it done and to sit down with your family and talk about it. It's not fun, but you'll be relieved once you get it over with. I mean, seriously, you'll be like, I can't believe I waited this long. So anywho, so a headline this week was crazy about this K-shaped recovery. Here's the bottom line of what this means, because everybody in financial services industry, they want to make things complicated to make it sound like they're just such geniuses. This is not anything like that. A K, the letter K. So imagine a letter K. So to make a K, you draw one straight line down on a piece of paper. That's the backbone of the K. The next line you draw is from the top to the middle, right? So that line is the upper arm of the K. So these are the industries that have thrived or recovered quickly from the pandemic, like technology, healthcare, consumer discretionary spending. The lower line that you draw from the middle of the backbone of the K to the ground, those are the industries that have lagged. Travel, energy, hospitality, materials. That is a K-shaped recovery. So don't let anybody blow smoke at you and make you think that you're dumb. Now you're going to know what a K-shaped recovery is. And if somebody asks you, you can answer the question. One sector of the economy is going up. One sector is still down. That's all it is. Pretty simple. All right. Inflation, people are worried about it. They're not seeing it yet. The threat still seems remote. Despite government spending, we're still at a 3% inflation rate. So I'm not going to talk any more about that. But I do want to talk about this. 4 ways your emotions can mess up your decisions. This all ties into your finances. So have you ever looked back at some of the terrible decisions you've made and wondered, what was I thinking? Well, there's actually a chance you weren't thinking. Instead, you may have been acting on emotion, not logic. The first car I bought by myself is a whole story about this. I will not go into that, but I will tell you it was the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life. I cannot believe I did what I did. I was young and stupid. And my dad taught me better. That's the problem. You think, you teach your kids all these things and you think they're going to make right choices. Even me, I did something so stupid. So whether you dated an attractive person who treated you horribly, or you wasted a lot of money on a really bad investment, your feelings can lead you astray if you're not careful. When your emotions are running high, your logic will be low. And so some people, because of COVID and because of everything they're reading, their emotions are extremely high right now. They're wired out of their head, worrying about all this crazy stuff on the internet, thinking everything's just going to hell in a handbasket, and that's just not reality. Anyways, so number 1, excitement can cause you to overestimate your chances of success. So this is Las Vegas. There's a reason why casinos use bright lights and loud noises. They want you to get excited. The more excited you feel, the more likely you'll be to spend large amounts of money. When you feel really excited about something, you are more likely to underestimate a risk. So, online trading. All these people that are jumping online and buying all this stuff based on what somebody sends out in a text message or an online meme, everybody's jumping into the pool and swimming because, oh my gosh, that guy became a billionaire. I want to jump into that. Be careful. Have limits. Make sure that you protect yourself and stop out of stuff. If you are getting out there and doing that, do not be one of the people that loses your shorts in the stock market. Number 2, anxiety in one area of your life spills over into other areas. If you're anxious about something going on in your personal life, perhaps you're worried about a health scare or you're nervous about buying a new home, it can cause you to feel anxious over your business decisions. Even though the situations are completely unrelated, research shows you'll likely have trouble separating the two. Anxiety over one specific issue can linger. When you're feeling nervous, you may refuse to create change or you may struggle to make decisions. As a result, your thinking is likely to be clouded. I completely agree with that. I'm seeing it in clients that are very anxious about the future of our country, the government, Joe Biden. People are extremely nervous about what's going on and all the spending. $6 trillion, just throwing it around like it's nothing, with nothing coming back from it. Just no expectation of anybody looking for a job or doing anything productive, just paying people to sit around and not do anything. It's crazy. And so I understand the anxiety, but you can't fix this and you can't stop it. And so you've got to get control over your emotions because it will make you do things that you otherwise would not do. Number 3, feelings of sadness can cause you to settle. Research shows you're likely to set your goals really low when you're feeling sad. In one study, participants were asked to sell various objects. Participants who felt sad set their prices lower than other participants. And I totally can relate to this because if you're sad, you have no energy. And if you don't have any energy, you're not going to expect anything good to happen. It just goes with the territory. Researchers suspect sadness led them to set the bar low in hopes that achieving their goal would improve their mood. Creating low expectations for yourself can prevent you from reaching your greatest potential. You may decide not to apply for that promotion, or you may not negotiate for what you want, all because you're feeling down. So here's another one. I saw a widow this week who was unlike most widows that I see, in that she had total control over the financials and everything, had an understanding of all of it. We have a phone call. Great. Good morning. You're on with Sherri. Welcome.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning. What's on your mind?
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to, would you be able to call me back if you get off your program? And I just want to give you some information about some privacy tools. I heard you mentioning about the password managers.
Yeah.
And the websites I'd like to share with you.
Okay.
And inform you about that LastPass that is really not recommended.
Really? Because this is a professional company that recommended that.
Well,
interesting.
Yeah, I have not researched why, but I have not researched pertaining to that. But I have 2 sites that might enlighten you. It says one of them says if you're currently using password manager software like LastPass, you should pick alternative here.
Okay. I tell you what, do you have email?
Well, yeah, I do. I'm trying to think.
But I was going to say you could email me. That'd be the best thing.
Well, okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
Let me find something to write it down, and I'll give it to you that way.
Good.
Okay.
I like it.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah, it's Sherri, SHERRI.
Yes, ma'am.
At rfmoney.com. RF is in Frank.
Romeo Sierra Money.
Romeo Frank. Frank. I'm sorry, okay. I'm not good with the military thing. RomeoFrankMoney.com.
Okay. Yeah, I'll send that to you. Those 2 sites. You might want to look at that because I don't use Microsoft or Apple and software. I use Linux.
Okay.
And I don't, I know about Linux phones too. That you don't have to use Android or Apple telephones, but the phone's about $800, which most people think that's outrageous. And there's laptops you can buy with Linux on it too if you don't want to install it on the hard drive through about 3 DVDs. You know, I meet with a guy in one of Robin's at the every third Saturday normally at the Atlanta Bread Company.
So are you an IT guy or retired and this is a hobby?
Well, it's kind of a hobby to a point. This guy, he's electrical engineer that graduated from college, but, you know, I've been meeting with him for quite a few years, and, you know, he uses Linux, and I've used it before on my laptop, and he uses Linux on his, you know, and I happen to choose the distribution from Linux because there's over 500 of them. But I happen to choose the one that Edward Snowden was using, if you're familiar with him.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. Well, shoot me an email with information so I can look at it and we can chat, okay?
Yeah, no problem. You know, I wouldn't mind talking to your husband, too, to see what kind of knowledge he has also.
Okay, very good. I look forward to it. Thank you for calling. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for answering.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, too.
Have a great weekend. Happy Memorial Day weekend. So interesting. That's fascinating. So let me see. So I was talking about widows, talking about the feeling of sadness causes you to settle. What I typically see is a widow comes to me for an appointment. Her husband has just passed away. She's getting life insurance. She's getting money from his investment accounts that are all transferring into her name. She's never been in charge of paying the bills before. She's never had the responsibility of managing investments or money because he did all of that their whole life together. And so the first thing she wants to do is give money to the kids. And I tell her, no, do not give a dime to anybody. Do not tell anybody how much you have. You do not want to go there because you do not want to invite people coming and asking for money when you're so vulnerable. You're vulnerable. You're grieving. This is not a good place to be giving away money or talking about money to other people. So don't tell anybody anything. Give yourself at least a year to get yourself on a budget. Make sure you have enough savings to protect yourself, and then realize you might need this money for the rest of your life in case you need care. You want to have control over your future. So you want to have control over this money. So do not give anything to anybody, which might sound mean and horrible, but it's just the best thing to do, because as soon as you open that door of giving somebody money and everybody finds out about it, guess what? There's going to be a line at your door of people saying, hey, what about me? Why'd you give money to them? You didn't give any money to me. And then you're going to feel bad. Then what are you going to do? So you can't get sucked down that rabbit hole. So feelings of sadness can cause you to settle and do things that you maybe otherwise wouldn't do. Number 4, anger and embarrassment can lead to taking a long shot. Intense emotions can lead to rash decisions if you're not careful. Anger and embarrassment may make you particularly vulnerable to high-risk, low-payoff choices. Researchers suspect intense, uncomfortable emotions impair self-regulation skills. Of course, when you're feeling really emotional, your risks can become self-destructive. When those big risks don't pay off, your anger and embarrassment intensify. So you fail at one thing, so you dive into another thing to try to reverse course, and then that doesn't work out, and so you go down this spiral. So get advice. Get advice from a professional, regardless of what you're trying to accomplish or do. Make sure you learn how to do it before you just dive in and start doing something. I've seen this happen in small businesses where people have said, you know, they want to go out and open a small business, and they jump out there to make this thing happen, and they start spending all this money, and then the business is not happening, and nobody's buying their product, and they're sitting there spending money every month, and they can't afford to pay themselves, and you just get into a hole. And the deeper you get into it, the deeper hole you dig for yourself. I've seen this. Yes. Good morning. You're on with Sherri on News Talk 940 WMAC.
Good morning, Sherri. How's everybody?
Everybody's doing good.
I have a lot of questions always, and I thank you again for helping my nephew out. This is James.
Oh, cool.
But I want to hear this first car story. That's what I want to hear. I think everybody else wants to hear that too. So that's all I want to hear.
Seriously? Okay. It's embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. I'm going to be totally blunt and tell you the whole thing, okay? That's all you wanted?
That's it.
Okay. Well,
hang up and
have a
listen.
great weekend.
You too. Bye.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so here's what an idiot. So I was raised by responsible people on a farm where I had to do chores where I was not paid. I had to work and do all this stuff and babysit and then get jobs. I was a dishwasher in a restaurant. I had to work my way through all of this, all to make a buck so that I could buy clothes. Just basic stuff. Well, I'm in Boise, Idaho. I'm working in mental health, making not very much. I had like an extra $20 a week to buy food and go out. I was living in the cheapest apartment in town. It was a dive, working in mental health 7 days a week. It's this crazy facility with crazy people. And, anyways, my grandmother died and I got $1,000. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm driving this horrible car that my dad bought for me when I was in high school, a Malibu. It was really old and 4-door and it wasn't cool at all. And so I decide to go looking for a car, which I don't know anything about. So I drive around and I go to this car lot and this really good looking blonde sales guy comes out of the sales place to meet me. Really, I mean, seriously, like something out of a movie. This guy was the ultimate car salesman. Smooth talking dude. They had a Triumph TR6 ragtop, original red wall tires, original paint, the flag, the British flag on the fender. They had one of those, orange. They had it on the lot. I had never even seen a car like that. He's like, you would look really good in this car. Let's take this car for a drive. So the entire trunk was filled with the speakers. It had Blaupunkt speakers that were so large they filled the entire trunk. If you can get the picture of this, take the ragtop down, cute little Triumph TR6, orange, original everything. There wasn't a scratch on it. It was like a collectible. And it was such a deal because I could trade in my Malibu with my $1,000 and have this car. And so we took it for a test drive with the top down. I'd never driven a convertible. I'd never driven a 5-speed. I'd never driven anything like this with this cute guy in the passenger seat, sales dude, telling me how great I looked in this car. I bought the car. I was living in Spokane, Washington, where it starts snowing on October and the snow doesn't thaw until May. Do you understand what it's like to drive a convertible with red wall tires in snow? You should have seen me driving to work. I would have to time because I had to go over hills and the roads were icy and the tires were not new. They were pretty bald, but I didn't know anything about tires. I was an idiot. So here I am driving in, 0-degree weather in a ragtop convertible with fairly bald tires on icy roads trying to get to work. I drove home. I think it was the summer I bought the car. I drove home to see my parents, which was like a 600-mile drive to go see my dad. And I drove up and he looked at me and he looked at that car. He didn't say a word. He is so wise. He should have thrown down on me like, what are you doing? But anyways, so I made it through the winter. Spring comes and I really needed new tires. Well, this is back in 1984. 1984, those tires were $400 a piece. I had $20 a week to spare for groceries. So I would have had to go into debt to buy tires. That is how bad this was. So I ended up having to trade the car in because I couldn't afford tires. I couldn't afford maintenance. I couldn't afford to have it looked at. I couldn't afford anything to do with this car. I was so stupid. I mean, I can't believe I did this. So I went to another lot and I traded it in for a Datsun 2 something. It was not a cool car. It was a car. And the car had an oil leak. Every Friday I had to go buy 3 quarts of oil and put it in the car so I could make it to work. Every Friday. And then I met Randy. Randy saves the day. He looks at my car and is like, what on earth? There's a giant oil slick under where I parked my car in front of my apartment. I said, yeah, I have to put 3 quarts of oil in it every Friday just so I can get back and forth to work because it's leaking oil so bad and I can't afford to have it repaired. And then Randy comes on the scene and the light comes out and everything is fixed because Randy's a mechanical person and he understands how stuff works. And I made better decisions from that point forward because of Randy. Don't do what I did. Do not do what I did. I can't believe I did that. Anyways, thanks so much for listening to the program today. I'm Sherri Goss, a financial planner with Rosenberg Financial Group. You can learn more about us by going to... But you can first you can email me, Sherri, Sherri, at rfmoney.com, and you can go to our website, retirerelax.com. Tons of special reports, all sorts of information about who we are. Steve Rosenberg, Becca Wilton, and I all do complimentary consultations. We'll sit down and talk with you about what's going on in your financial world and try to give you the best advice possible. And if we don't know the answer to your question, we will have to go look it up or consult with somebody who will, but we will do our best to help you make good decisions so that you don't go out and buy a Triumph TR6 with bald tires and a bad everything. Anyways, with that, I hope you have a great weekend. Thanks so much for listening, and thanks for the callers. Appreciate you guys so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
The views expressed on the show should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities or services mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risk, including loss of principal invested. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. No strategy can assure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information should only be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Securities are offered through Royal Alliance Associates Incorporated, member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services are offered through Rosenberg Financial Group, a registered investor advisor not affiliated with Royal Alliance Associates Incorporated. Offices are located at 2517 Moody Road, Warner Robins, and 4875 Riverside Drive, Suite 201 in Macon. Phone numbers are 922-8100 and 741-4457.